What I love about noir is the way it strips characters down to their worst instincts and then asks them, what are you going to do when no one's looking? This Noirvember, I'm diving into authors who understand that darkness better than anyone. I'm not usually one to keep a TBR, let alone even follow one for an entire month, but this November I really wanted to get into more noir. And this first book that's on my TBR for the month of November is what kind of kickstarted the whole thing. I was trying to find a book that would take me out of the horror genre for the Halloween season and bring me into the crime genre. And that first book is Gabino Iglesias' House of Bone and Rain. And what I love about Gabino Iglesias, and I've mentioned this before, is how he is able to take the horror and the crime genres and really mix them into one book. He doesn't bounce from one style to the other. He mixes them all up together into the story. And this is a book that's supposed to be about 5 childhood friends in Puerto Rico who find out that one of their mothers had been gunned down, and they swear vengeance on her. They find out she's been gunned down by one of the drug pin's men, and they swear that they're going to do anything they can to stop him, even though nobody else ever has and lived to tell the tale. There's also supposed to be a hurricane that's coming around the same time, and with the hurricane bringing some mystical and some phantasmical aspects. I don't know, I haven't read it, obviously, but I'm really excited to kind of see how these ghosts that come with the hurricane and how this all ties well together. But Gabino Iglesias calls this a barrio noir, and I think it's going to be the perfect noir to go from the Halloween season right into November and into my next noir. And once I'm done with the barrio noir, I figure what better place to go than across the entire Atlantic Ocean into an entirely different climate and tackle some Nordic noir. And I'm tackling it with Joe Nesbo's The Devil's Star. This is one of the books in the Harry Hole series. I believe it is technically the 3rd or the 4th one, but it's also the one that's been on my bookshelf the longest that I own. This book is probably 15 years old, if not a little bit older for me. And when I bought it, it actually was the first book in the Harry Hole series that was available in English in America. Since that time, there's been a few more that have come out. I think the Redbreast is technically ahead of it. I'm not positive though. It is my first time diving into Joe Nesbo though. I first got into Nordic Noir when I did, like the rest of the world, the Millennium Trilogy by Stieg Larsson, and I absolutely loved it. I picked this up as well, just never got around to it. In The Devil's Star, we follow Harry Hole, a detective, and he's investigating a series of murders of women who keep popping up missing a finger and having a red diamond in the shape of a star under their eyelid. And he is tasked to uncover this mystery with a detective that he hates and believes is the cause of his previous partner's death. I don't know anything beyond that, but I'm really excited to dive into some Nordic Noir again. I love how dark it can get. I love how they use the atmosphere and the environment around them. You know, the weather, the seasons play a big part of these stories, and I'm really excited to see how Joe Nesbo does. And while yes, it is another series that I'm starting, I am excited to see how it goes and see if it's one that I'm going to want to continue or not. And speaking of books that use the city as its own character, we're going to dive into Clare Dewitt and the City of the Dead by Sara Gran. Now, you may have recognized Sara Gran's name. I did just cover her short story, Come Closer, on my channel. I will leave a link to that video in the description. But this is her take on a PI story. And in it, Clare Dewitt was considered the greatest PI in the world. She was actually a teenager. She had solved some really big cases. And now she is being sent to New Orleans in a post-Katrina world to help find some missing people there. And I don't know much beyond that. I have been told to go into this pretty blind, but I do know that it involves some mysticism, it involves some strange ways that she uses her clairvoyance, and it is some ways somewhat satire, somewhat humorous, but a really great example of noir. And I'm really interested to see how Sara Gran tackles this genre after being blown away by her and her horror with Come Closer. And if we're talking noir, we need to be talking my favorite subgenre of noir, which is rural noir. So my rural noir pick for the month of November is my favorite author, S.A. Cosby, and his first book, My Darkest Prayer. This is one of those books that I've been saving for quite a long time. It was my break glass in case of emergency. If I ever needed a book that I knew was going to be great to kind of get me out of a slump, My Darkest Prayer is one of those books I was saving for. But I've been thinking maybe I should just read the books I want to read and not be saving them for some magical moment that may or may not ever come. So I'm really excited to dive into this. It's his first book he's ever written. I have loved everything else he's ever wrote. I loved Razorblade Tears. I loved All the Sinners Bleed. I did a review of his most recent book, King of Ashes, that came out this summer. That was a 5-star book. Every one of his books have blown me away, so I'm really excited to dive into this and see what his first work was like. I know absolutely nothing about this book. I'm assuming it's going to have some sort of religious aspect to it based on the name of the book, also based on the giant glowing cross on it, but beyond that, I'm going in completely blind. I find S.A. Cosby works best that way. When you don't know where he's going to take you and you are along for the ride, that is when S.A. Cosby can really shine. So I'm willing to let him take the wheel and take me where he wants to go. I do expect it to be dark. I expect it to be gritty. I expect there to be violence. But above all, I also expect there to be this level of heart in these stories. S.A. Cosby is incredible when he can take something incredibly violent, incredibly dark and twisted, but also make you sympathetic for those characters and make you care for those characters. And I expect that to be happening in My Darkest Prayer just as much as it happened in all of his other books. And the last book on the list is probably cheating because it's technically a police procedural, but it does have noir-ish elements to it, and it's my TBR, so I'm going to say it counts. But what really got me onto wanting to read this next book is Ollie, over at the channel Criminolly, is starting a 4.5-year project where he is going through the entire 87th Precinct series, one book at a time. And I thought, hey, why not jump in on that? Why don't I add another series to my ever-growing list of series that I'm in the middle of, especially one that's 55 books long? That seems like something I can do. So, I'll at least try it, and we'll see where it goes. But the first book in it is Cop Hater by Ed McBain, and this version is one I got from the library. It's originally published, this version, in 1961. You can see it's old, it's aged. It's so old that it's actually labeled as the 87th Precinct by Evan Hunter and not Ed McBain, Ed McBain is a pseudonym that Evan Hunter uses. But Cop Hater takes place in a made-up version of New York City, and I don't know anything else beyond it. It's just one that Ollie has talked about. It's his favorite series. Ed McBain is his favorite writer. And I thought this seemed like a really great time to jump in and do that. And one book a month, that still leaves me 4 or 5 other books that I can read each month. And if I ever need to drop out, I can drop out. It's my TBR. But there you have it, my TBR for Noirvember. Let me know in the comments what you have for your TBR in November. And, help me stay accountable. Make sure that I'm actually reading these. Follow up with me in the comments of my next videos to see what I think of these books. That way, I at least feel like I am being held accountable and reading what I said I wanted to at this point. As always, please consider liking this video if you enjoyed it, subscribing to it, leaving a comment, and until next time, keep your porch light on.